see if that works. Okay, I think we're live. I think we're working. Are we broadcasting everywhere? I hope so. Let me just check that we're on YouTube as well. On Twitch, we should be on YouTube. That's there. Hopefully that'll come through a bit. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Right. Hello everyone. Welcome. We're streaming from time to time around the place. Mostly I was just talking about this with a friend of mine just the other day, Sean, if you know Sean. Hello Sean, if you're watching. Mostly at the moment I'm kind of just doing things in cafes, eating and chatting at the moment. But now that I'm slightly more on holiday, less work at the moment, hopefully I'll have time to do a few more things, not just in cafes, but around the place. I'm freezing. Am I freezing? Oh dear. I shouldn't be freezing. I've got a 5G network. Look. 5G. So I shouldn't be freezing. It might be you. Shall I do a speed test? To see? Yeah, but I'm in a new place. Okay, so just hold on a second. I will do this speed test just to see what speed I'm getting. So I might drop the connection a little bit. But it's saying alright. It's saying okay. No, there is quite a few. Yeah. See, I'm getting a good speed. So that's alright, to be honest. Yeah, I'm at 50. Download and upload 6, so I think we should be okay. But yeah, I'm in a new place today. Let me just let that finish. There we go. There's the results. So I'm okay, and that's while streaming, of course. But having said that, it does say. Yeah, drop frames are pretty high. Well, it's an experiment. It keeps coming out. Okay, hello cheats. It's an experiment to see if it works here. Yeah, I'll consider. I'll think and see if we happen to get if we can get a local Wi-Fi. You know, if we can get the Wi-Fi in the building, we'll see. But there doesn't appear to be a network for this cafe, so I'm trying it to see if it works. So let me just quickly show you around a little bit. So this is called Cafe Recharge. So this is different place. I want to try. Very pixely as well. We'll see how it goes. That might just be my speed test. I think it might be picking up a little bit. We just do an audio. Or you can just shut your eyes. Yeah, okay, we'll see how that goes anyway. We'll see what happens. But hello, welcome. Good afternoon. I've got a mocha. So at this place is called Cafe Recharge. Not to be confused with Cafe Reborn, which is along the road. Cafe Recharge. So this is what's called a CIC, a community interest company. So it's like a charity, similar to a charity. Because the idea of this place is that You come in for food, coffee, whatever, but you pay whatever you wish to pay. So for some of the things, there's a set price, but for some of the things, many of the menu, you pay whatever you feel is appropriate. And if you can't afford much, you can just pay a small amount. If you're feeling flush, you can pay a little bit more than you would normally pay. So it's what am I going to do? Okay. Yeah, so it's a place where you can come if you have no money and you need to eat something. You can come here and eat for very little money or whatever you can afford. But it's also a really nice place. It's a nice little cafe, and it's reasonably quiet at the moment. And just if you're on a mezzanine level, you can see the counter over there. Yeah. So if it works out, if we can get a decent signal, we'll see. Oh, let me go and ask the worker. Hold on a second.
Have you got the Wi-Fi? Oh, it should just go through BT Guest Wi-Fi or something like that. I'm sure.
Yeah, she says BT Guest, but I don't think we can use that somehow. I think we're. Let me attempt. Let me see. So we've got BT Guest. Well, maybe. Okay, I shall try that. Are we back on? I think we might be. Should be back on. Right, let me. Okay. Should be working now. Okay. Are we on? Are we back? I hope we are. I hope we're working away on the BT Wi-Fi, so it may just, still quite a high number of dropped frame. What does that say? Unsecured network. Yeah, okay. Hopefully that's working. Yeah, right. What does that say? What's that warning? Click to read your notifications. Drop frames 56%. Right, let's... Okay. I think I'm on. I think I am anyway. Let's go back in there and let's open up that and let's see what that says. Right. Okay. Do I need to restart? I wonder. Do I need to restart? I'm not getting any feedback in the chat. So I might need to do that. But if the BT, maybe not. If the Wi-Fi works, which I'm not sure it is doing, that'd be good. I'm getting even lower numbers on the drop frame and the throughput. So I may just switch back to my phone. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Chat says reconnecting now. So I think Still reconnecting. Is that right? Okay. Keep your fingers crossed. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Let's see if it works. It doesn't look like it's going to be honest. I can still see the vent work very well, which is a shame. What happens if I click on that? Nothing. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So cafe recharge. Let's see. I'll imagine that there may be some people in here because it says so. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically a pay what you want cafe, which is a good idea in principle. And they say that essentially they works out that people generally, some people paying less, some people paying more, it generally works out that people pay about as much as they ordinarily would in, overall, on average. So it's a good idea, yeah. And there's often just explain a bit more. They get food from, surplus food from supermarkets and so on. So they never know what they're going to have. Apart from basics like coffee and so on. They buy, stuff. But they get in food that supermarkets will be throwing out, which may be approaching its sell-by date, but is still, more than serviceable and good food. And then they make stuff with it. So they get like ingredients and they make nice dishes. And they've often got food in a little fridge outside or in a cupboard outside that you can just come and take. If it's it's still good stuff. And I've eaten here before. Eaten and drank here before. Let's see. Jules says, get the signal out on the hills over there. Well, as I say, it should be fine, to be honest. It should be fine. And it looks like the Wi-Fi isn't working, so I'm back on my phone. We'll see. Hang on, what happens if we click on that? I can see Whistling Duke. So it's a mocha today. This is a mocha today, because I fancied a change, and it's quite nice. I don't know who their beans are or anything. I don't think maybe it does say outside. I can't see. Can't tell. Yeah. Anyway, let's take the lens off so that if I turn you around, you can see a little bit more. So we're on the Mezza. This used to be a nightclub. This place used to be out. And there's still remnants of it. You can see there's a couple of big speakers up there. Up there. A couple of big speakers, and there's like through the doorway, there's a kind of a DJ booth up there. So we're on the, not mezzanine because it's not half, it's upper level up here. What the hell? You could donate to buy a meal voucher or consider volunteering, it says. And that one says, like what we do, leave a review on Facebook, TripAdvisor, or Google Review. Yeah, there's a zero waste body care station over there. Feed bellies, not bins. So it's an interesting place. it's quite, quite a pleasant kind of atmosphere. But they're not open. Also, it's volunteers who staff the place. So I think the person who runs the place gets paid and pays herself. There's a fly there. I won't go away. I think it washed it away. By volunteers. Which is good, I suppose. Yeah, it's a nice little place. But yeah, it's not open and 9 till 5 or anything. So, yeah. So I'm a little bit restricted as to when I can possibly come in here and use the place. We'll see. Still looking for Doe. Found 80 plus Periscope broadcasts. What from Doe? Not recently, he didn't. How did you do that? How did you find 80 plus Periscope broadcasts? What, on Google search or something? Anyway, so I said that I might talk about the election a little bit. So currently, let me sit back a bit. If my cord reaches. Yeah, there's a lot of drop frames. So currently, today, Thursday, there's an election. I need to get a little bit more discreet. So currently, today, there's an election happening in the UK. General election. We're electing a government, electing new MPs. What was that? Okay. Need a cushion here. There we go. Yes, electing new MPs today. So for the past 14 years, the UK has been run by the Conservative Party, who are a centre-right party, roughly equivalent to, say, the old Republicans, pre-Trump Republicans, you might call them, or the CDU in Germany, and so on. And they're the party of Margaret Thatcher, but more recently, David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. And Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister, called an election a few weeks ago for today, and he's hoping to be re-elected. Meanwhile, the principal opposition party, the Labour Party, run by Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer in fact, is hoping to form the government from tomorrow onwards. So that's happening currently, today. People are voting for their choice. Now I noticed, I was reading on Twitter that people don't quite understand, even British people don't quite understand how the parliamentary system works. So what happens is, the UK is divided up into 650 constituencies. And each constituency has about 100,000 people. 100,000 people living there. Something better if I move them like that. Who's in the lead? I'll get to that. So each constituency has about 150,000 people living in it, and each constituency elects one member of parliament, one MP. And you can choose from a short list of 3, 4, 6, 8 kind of candidates. Some independents, but mostly people from the major parties: Conservatives, Labour, SNP, Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru, the DUP or Sinn Féin, etc. in Northern Ireland. They've all got different agendas, they all want to do different things. There are more, by the way, more than those. The Greens, say. And usually there's not many independent candidates who win the elections, so mostly the winners of each constituency, they're mostly from the Conservatives or Labour or one of the smaller parties. So you get, let's say there's 400 Labour MPs after the election. That means there's more Labour MPs than everybody else put together, and so the Labour Party would get to form the government. Just as an example. Currently, the Conservatives, before Parliament was dissolved technically, so 6 weeks ago, the Conservative Party formed the government because they had more MPs than all the other parties put together. It was about 400 MPs that the Conservative Party had until Parliament was dissolved by the Prime Minister. But now, currently, there are no MPs until tonight, when people will be re-elected or elected. Now, each MP in each constituency doesn't really have much power. So they can vote for things in the House of Commons, they can vote for new laws that the government proposes, or vote against new laws that the government proposes, but they don't really have much power over what goes on in their constituency. Binhead and Elmo, is that Elmo standing? Binhead is standing, Count Binface is standing. So we don't know at the moment how anybody's actually doing. But according to opinion polls, it is expected that the Labour Party is going to win the election. That's what all the opinion polls have been saying. There's a massive lead in all of the opinion polls for the Labour Party. So it's anticipated that Keir Starmer will form the government tomorrow. That's what's expected. He's got a very big lead in the opinion polls, so that's what people are saying is going to happen. So Count Binface is an independent candidate standing in, can't remember, somewhere. And he could become an MP. He could be an MP if those 100,000 people, or the people who are eligible to vote, people over 18, people who aren't convicted criminals, that sort of thing. If they vote for him, he would be one member of Parliament in that constituency, but he would have no power at all. He doesn't control the things that happen in his constituency. Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister, he's the leader of the Conservative Party. So he is leading the party which has been the biggest party in the House of Parliament. I sometimes see some people seem to think that the Member of Parliament for your area decides what happens in that area. So if you elect a Labour Party Member of Parliament in your constituency, then the Labour Party controls what happens in that constituency, in that area. But no, it's not that at all. It's only the overall government for the country then controls everywhere. So this is a thing that I've seen even British people a little bit confused by. So your MP may or may not be a member of the ruling party. But your MP really it has no power other than voting in the House of Commons overall as part of that party. So if, for example, if you vote for the Conservative Party because you want low taxes, and let's imagine that your constituency votes for this person, this Conservative Party MP, and he or she wins in this constituency. But overall, the Labour Party wins the government overall, because ultimately there are more Labour Party MPs. So the Labour Party would form the government. Your MP wouldn't be able to get lower taxes in your area. That's not how it works. Labour Party would decide what level that taxes would be for the entire country. Your MP may vote for lower taxes, but there aren't enough Conservative Party MPs in that situation for them to have their way. So your constituency gets the taxes that the Labour Party would have, just as an example. And as I say, I've seen some people seem to be of the opinion, of the view that their MP runs their area without taking into account that actually it's the total number of MPs for each party that decides who the government is, and they get to do whatever they want, essentially. Now, I've also heard talk of what's called a supermajority. I've heard particularly Conservative and Reform Party MPs talk about a supermajority. Now, some countries have a thing called a supermajority. That is where, normally, the governing party has restrictions on what they do. Let's say there's a president who would get to veto what the ruling party does. But if that ruling party gets a supermajority, then that doesn't happen. The president wouldn't be able to overrule them. So they would need to get, say, a 2/3 majority, a supermajority, more than just 50%, but 60%, and then they would get a supermajority, and then they can do what they want. But that doesn't happen here. That's not how it works. If you have 50% of the MPs plus one, that means you are the government and you get to do whatever you like. So there's no such thing as a supermajority here. What will my MP do if his party loses? So if you vote for somebody and that person, whoever wins in your constituency, if they're not part of the party which wins overall, then all they can really do is vote against whatever the government wants. They probably won't win, because the governing party almost always wins their votes because they've got more MPs. All your MP would do if they're not in the governing party, and even if they are in the governing party, to be honest, is they just say no, but it happens anyway because the government does pretty much what it wants. So they can campaign, they can complain, they can lobby, they can say, well, if we were in government, we wouldn't be doing it like this. But really, they can't do anything. So all they can do is usually just pointlessly vote against things that they don't want and protest and give interviews in the media and say this is a bad idea. There's really very, very little that they can do, and that's true even in this so-called supermajority situation. So it's been said that if the Labour Party if they get a huge number of MPs, if they get lots and lots of MPs, they're calling that a supermajority, but actually it makes no difference at all, because if you've got any majority, you've got all the power. Unless MPs from your party, so let's imagine the Conservative Party wins the election. Now, if they've got a very, very slim majority, just maybe 5 or 10 MPs more than the others, then those it would only take 5 or 10 MPs rebelling and voting against their own party until the governing party would start to lose votes. So it's not absolutely guaranteed that everybody from that party votes the way that party wants. In a tight situation like that, when there's just a few votes in it, a few MPs in it, then that party doesn't always get its way. But once there's more than about 15 or 20 of a majority, then that very rarely happens. So the only kind of supermajority is once you get more than about 10 or 15 MPs either way, then the government does whatever it wants. And it makes no difference if you get a majority of 20 or if it's a majority of 200. There's basically no difference between that. So this idea of a supermajority is a real red herring. It doesn't mean anything. There's no more power a government gets if it's, so there's 650 MPs. If they get, was it 376 MPs, which is half plus one, then they form the government. If they get 560 MPs, it really makes no difference at all to the amount of power they have. They've got all the power, really. But people say don't let, in this current election, people sit a majority, because they'll be able to do anything they want anyway with the smallest majorities. £100,000 a year. Yeah, but 100,000. So it's supposed to be their full-time job. But they can have other jobs on the side as well, to be honest. And they can be, as long as they declare that they're being paid by some company, some bank or whatever, they can go onto the board of a bank or something like that. So they're allowed to do that. Arguably, they shouldn't be. Excuse me, they shouldn't be. But yeah, I mean, many MPs argue that £100,000 a year is not enough money, so they want more money, so they go and get paid in other ways as well. But it should be a full-time job, in my opinion. 100 grand is plenty. It's way, it's multiples of average wage. That's a good question. So MPs who basically have no power get paid 100,000. Then you've got members of the government. So the government is formed by MPs from the winning party. So you need about 80 or 100 MPs to be promoted into the government, and then you'd be in charge of a government department, Department of Health, for example, or you'd be in charge of Veterans Affairs, or you'd be in charge of sewage or what have you. And then it'd be your responsibility to write the laws and write the policies of the government in that area of government. So if you're the local housing minister, you would write laws about local planning laws, and you'd have policies to say, well, you can build a new town there, but we don't want a new town built there, and so on. So then you get a little bit of power. You have to basically do what the Prime Minister wants, but you get a little bit of power there. And then it kind of gets more and more powerful as you get further up the ranks, until you're a minister, a Secretary of State. So the example runs the NHS, or the Education Minister runs all the schools. And then you get the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who controls all the money, decides what money every other department gets, what taxes should be, what kinds of taxes, what you put sales tax on, and so on. And then at the very top there's the Prime Minister, who decides everything in theory and directs everybody and gets to set overall policy and runs the country. In theory, the Prime Minister is appointed by the King to run the government on behalf of the King, in theory. But really it's the people, the voters, who get to decide that. Because the King has no actual power, just theoretical power. Yes, what else do we need to know? What else do we need to talk about? If my MP is in the losing party, are they paid 100,000 a year to be ineffectual? Yes. The one little bit of power that, there's some little bits of power that every MP has. So let's imagine that, hello Brad Pitt, that's the actual election is today, yes. Afternoon. So let's imagine that I am in dispute with my local council. Let's say that they think that I haven't paid my council tax. And I say, yes, I have. They say, no, you haven't. So I could write to my MP and lay out the facts and say, look, I've got evidence here to show this, and the council still says this, and they're being stupid and whatnot, then you can ask your MP to write to the council and say, look, my constituent says this, if you don't get this sorted out, I'll bring this up in Parliament, I'll make a big fuss about this, because an MP is a respected person as well. As a voter, you can ask your MP to speak on your behalf, try to get things done for you. And you know, an MP can influence people, because they're a powerful person in theory. So there's a little bit of power there. There's also what are called select committees. And this is where groups of MPs, and it's MPs of all parties, they question the government. They ask difficult questions, or they're supposed to ask difficult questions. So for example, let's consider the situation in Ukraine. Now, the government has policies about sending arms to Ukraine and aid and so on. So the Select Committee on Defence would be able to ask questions of that. They would say, well, what about instead of sending this type of weapon to Ukraine, we think you should be sending this, don't you, Minister? And, you know, we've looked into it and we definitely think this would be better if you did that. So they can be like, they can hold the government to account. Now, this is slightly... Hello, Teresa. So, is the quality of the picture any better yet, by the way? I'm hoping it is. So if you do get this so-called supermajority, you know, so the more people from your party get onto these committees, the better, because these people will be supporting the government in theory. They'll still ask difficult questions, but they're not going to make life too difficult for the government. So that's slightly a little bit of real supermajority thing. They get a slightly easier ride from the committees, the standing committees. An overpriced bureaucrat. It's kind of what in America is called one of the balances and checks. So these standing committees, they're meant to be holding the government to account. Hello, Barbs. Thank you for those bits. But there's little they can actually do. You know, if a standing committee disagrees with what the minister says, the minister usually can just ignore it. But they're meant to sort of be embarrassed into doing the right thing. You know, if a standing committee has come to the conclusion that this person in charge of schools is definitely doing the wrong thing, shows ox. And it can sort of influence. So I'm talking politics at the moment, Trissa, because there's an election in the UK. I thought it might be quite interesting to talk about politics today. Can't quite pick it up, but these are my socks with a little slight diamond pattern on them. Just hang on. Okay, you didn't actually do a show socks thing there, though, Trissa. So I might have to withdraw my show socks there. Yeah, so that's the situation at the moment. Those socks are old. They are pretty old, actually. I've had them quite a long time. I'm not by any new socks. You can see the pattern there, just about. Not by any new socks for quite a while. Yeah, so that's socks. Is Labour going to... Well, so... You redeemed. Did you? I don't see that. Okay. Is Labour going to sweep to power? That's what the polls are suggesting. The thing about these opinion polls and the predictions of that is they're not always accurate. Buy new socks, okay. Right. I'll consider that. If anyone wants to send me some cash for socks, I'll do that. I don't need any socks at the moment, but yeah. yeah, people lie to opinion posters. People don't want to tell the truth. People avoid answering accurately. Yeah, yeah, it's and up. There's absolutely nothing decided up to today. Um, election day, polling day today. Everything else is just a prediction. Um, so it is predicted that lots of people are going to vote Labour, but if they don't, then who knows what'll happen. But probably. Just not deliberately. But it's quite a nice place. It is quite stylish. So I'll just pick you up again and show you. It's quite a stylish place. It's nice, it's pleasant. I'm not sure there's anybody else in at the moment. Yeah. It's a nice place. As I say, it's a place where you can pay whenever you want. Yes, you can choose to pay anything. You can choose to pay nothing if you can't afford anything. Or something. I'm not sure if they've got a license. I'm not certain. But it's a nice, interesting place. You've got a Facebook that you can look them up. You can get the QR code. There, if you possibly QR code. Yeah, that might work. I don't know. That might activate something. Yeah, but it's a good idea. Good idea where you can, pay whatever you can afford, whatever you think's fair. Purchase all socks. Do you think I could sell them? Do you think I could, start selling socks? I don't think that's going to work, to be honest. So I should be working today, actually. I should be working, but my client pulled out on eBay. Not sure that'll attract much. So that's why I'm in here, because I had unexpectedly had some time to myself a little bit. So we'll consider the quality of the picture and so on, the quality of the connection, and see. We'll think about that. It might just be the area here in the building might be low quality. I'll think about that for future anyway. But I should be back tomorrow when we'll have a new government. Extremely likely that we'll have a new government tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow about this time, as usual. And it's not currently raining, so I'm going to go out for a bit of a walk. So that'll be nice. All your cabs are the same sound. There's probably a cafe playlist on Spotify, isn't there? I would imagine. Right. So as I say, I'll be back tomorrow. When we've got a new government. That'll be fun. Alright. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the Discord what the picture quality is like. If you're a member of my Discord. Did you and Do attend Glastonbury? No. Right. No, so I haven't seen Do in a couple of weeks now, which is a bit worrying. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow and or Tuesday. Cheery bye, everyone. Catch you next time. Have a nice Thursday afternoon, Friday, whatever.